Hi, my name is Rhonda Eaker, and I am the program manager for the DU Iliff Joint PhD in the study of religion. And I am going to talk to you a little bit about the admissions and application process, as well as costs and financial aid. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So that we can look at the website for the program. And if you don't know the address, it's du.edu/du Iliff Joint. You can find this also, if you don't remember that, just go to the University of Denver website and search for DU Iliff Joint PhD, and this will bring you to this site. If you haven't explored this already, I would encourage you to do that. You can see we've got information about history of the program requirements, introductions to our faculty and staff, costs and financial aid, which we'll get to in a minute. Student life, we have an opportunity even for you to meet some of our students and our current students and see what they're doing. And then finally, applying to the program. So let's start with applying to the program. So the DU Iliff Joint PhD, and we call it JDP for short, that's Joint Doctoral Program. So the Joint Doctoral Program admits students every fall. Our goal is to admit 7 to 10 new students each fall. The application period starts usually the fall prior. So in September, the application, sometimes even August, the application will open for the following fall. There's a priority application deadline, which is typically in early to mid-January. So when I say priority deadline, I mean that it's pretty important that you meet that deadline. That is the point at which we are going to allocate most of our financial aid and make most of our decisions. Students who apply after that deadline, we might be able to consider their application, but at that point, we may not be able to offer them a tuition discount or some of the normal financial aid that we will talk about in a minute. So application deadline, priority application is important that you meet. The application process is online. You can see a link here to the online application, and that is managed through the University of Denver. And if you have any questions about the application process itself, about whether they've received what they need, or if you're having technical issues with the process, you would contact the University of Denver Office of Graduate Education, and this is their contact information here. So let's move over and look at application requirements. The program requires a master's degree with in an area field relevant to what you're hoping to do in the JDP, and a GPA of 3.0 or better. There is an additional language requirement for certain students if you're wanting to do something with the Bible or ancient texts. We may want you to have Koine Greek or Biblical Hebrew before you apply for admission as well. If you don't know if this would apply to you, contact me or contact the program, and we can let you know if that's going to be a requirement based on your interests. What you submit, again, the online application and transcripts, we do not require a GRE. We do require 3 letters of recommendation from people who can evaluate your academic strengths. And we need a personal statement of typically 3 to 5 pages. And your personal statement is where you tell us a little bit about what you want to study, maybe your research goals. And we also want you to tell us what faculty you envision yourself working with. It is important to us in the admissions process that we are admitting students who have areas of interest that our faculty can support, that we have expertise in the areas that you will need in order to accomplish your goals. So it's important, I mentioned this faculty and staff tab. It really is important for you to review our faculty and identify some faculty with whom you can see yourself studying and researching. In fact, I encourage you to reach out to those faculty and let them know of your interests and just see if they can foresee themselves maybe working with you. It's not a commitment. Your interests can certainly change, and you may identify other faculty once you arrive on campus, but we just want you to think a little bit ahead of time about what you're hoping to do and what kinds of research you're interested in and what faculty might be able to support you in that. So we need for you to discuss that in your personal statement. We're also going to ask for a writing sample, a research paper. Don't have to write something new just for this, but if you have a paper that you've wrote for your master's degree, please do keep it within the suggested length. It is not an advantage to send us a 200-page paper because the admissions committee has to read that paper, and so they would rather read something that's more in the 10 to 20-page range. There's an application fee, and note there's an additional application if you have international credentials. So that's the application process. As I said, there is a priority deadline in early to mid-January. We do put our applicants through 2 application review processes. There's an admissions committee and then a final review committee. The process will take us until late February or early March. So at that point, we will notify everyone who met our priority application deadline of what the decision is. With that, let's move to discussing costs and financial aid. We do charge per unit using the University of Denver's cost structure. So you can see for 23-24, the cost is $1,612 per unit of credit. The number of units you take each quarter can vary. So you can see this is just a sample of maybe 8 units in the fall, 12 in the winter, 11 in the spring. This might be typical for your first year and maybe your second year. Your third year will be a little bit less because you're taking fewer units at that point. So in terms of what we offer for aid, well, let's talk about other costs first. That's tuition and fees. You, of course, also have your living expenses, books, transportation, and those are all above and beyond the tuition. They can vary tremendously. Room and board might depend on where you want to live, how many roommates you want to have. If you're also have a family living with you, all of these can vary significantly. But at least this is an example of what you might want to start with for your other expenses. So in terms of financial aid, none of our students are actually paying those tuition costs because we offer all of our students a tuition discount. And that discount is going to be between 60 and 100% of your first 82 units. The degree requires 90 units of credit. The last 8 units are dissertation credits. You're just taking one of those one at a time while you're working on your dissertation. But 82 units covers the first 3 years, and that's going to be your coursework and your comp exams. And so the tuition discount is going to be on that first 3 years between 60 and 100%. A typical student might get 80%. As an example, this might be what your tuition would be reduced to with an 80% discount. So how do you know what your discount is going to be? You will know that when you are admitted. I mentioned that you would get a letter in March indicating that you've been admitted or not. If you are admitted, that same letter will tell you how much your discount will be. So at that point, you will know what your actual costs will be for the tuition. I also want to mention there's a number of other resources that students have used for helping pay for their education. You can fill out the FAFSA form, which is the federal form for federal financial aid. Graduate students can get loans and they can get work study. And many of our students use both those resources. There are also other dissertation fellowships to help you pay for the dissertation units. There are graduate teaching assistantships that pay per course. Each of our students typically will get 2 to 3 courses that they can teach. We also have students who are sponsored by organizations. I want to also point out to you this link here to the JDP portfolio page. That link will take you to a long list of other outside agencies that have fellowships and scholarships and grants that many of our students have taken advantage of. So I think that covers the basic information about admissions and financial aid. I am certainly happy to talk to anyone individually. We can set up a Zoom and chat about your specific interests. I can help you identify faculty that might be of interest to you, and I can answer any individual questions you may have. The email address is the email address is jointphd@iliff.edu. Iliff is spelled ILIFF. So jointphd@iliff.edu will get an email directly to me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.